Hello everybody and welcome to IRL Season 13 F1. This time it's round 4 in Britain as we see Cameron Young have a little spin already, the man we're on board with for now. But anyway, welcome everybody to Britain. As you can see, we have been delighted with some typical British weather. As you can see, it's intermediate, it's raining, a little bit of sprinkle light rain. It's not uncommon to see in this nation. Are we going to see some of this in the race? It's very possible. I don't see why not. But we'll have to see, because of course it can still be dry. But unfortunately I was not here last week. I was away doing work, which is unfortunate. But I'm back now, so I'm hopefully going to be treated to some great racing. But I can only hope and pray. And here we are on board with this man, Jared Fosbury. He has surprised us this season. He is currently second in the standings, if I remember correctly. I'm going to pull it up now. Yes, he is third, with 2 podiums and a not so good result in France. But 2 podiums has put him third so far this season. If he can continue this form, he could, and this is more of a long shot, but Jared could be in a fight for the title, which is hard to believe. But should we rule him out? Because he seems to be consistent. He's driving well. I don't see many problems with his driving. He just stays out of incidents and gets the car over the line, and it's working for him. But one man who is doing incredibly this season, and of course last season, is this man, Brandon Glover. Right now sitting first in the standings, as Edward Hart, who is the man in second, goes in second place. So Jared's setting a 39.9 to put himself on provisional pole for now. But Brandon Glover in the Aston Martin, he is doing well for himself. He's sat on top with a 3rd place and 2 second places. So he hasn't won a race yet, but he's 1 point ahead of Edward Hart. Edward Hart has won both races that he's been in, but DNF last weekend in Australia. Unfortunately, I wasn't here to see that. I don't know what happened. I haven't seen the stream. Actually, no, there was no stream, sorry. So I haven't seen the race. I don't know what happened. But if Edward Hart retires a couple more times, say today, maybe he finishes outside the points, anything, then Brandon Glover could be well on his way to finally, hopefully, taking the title that was never quite there for him last season. He was in the fight, of course. It was fantastic. We loved to see it. It was so entertaining. And again, Brandon seems to just be consistent and fast, and that's what he's good at. And the man from the northwest of England maybe could do it again this season. Of course, we're only 3 rounds in, so a lot of time will tell. But another title that he almost secured again last season was the Constructors, and Kevin Harrison, who is down in 9th currently, still hasn't set a time. Brandon actually setting provisional pole. I completely looked past that by well over 2 seconds. In fact, he's absolutely flying around this track. As Kevin, you can see, struggling with the grip just a little bit. Being a controller driver, he doesn't love this game particularly. But Kevin again has been staying consistent with around top 6 finishes. He so far had 10 points, 12 points and 10 points. Not bad for him, and that's put him in 4th. So again, consistency in the early stages of this season has been absolutely crucial. So hello Connor, welcome to the stream. This is another driver that I haven't had the chance to see drive on this game yet, and that is Connor. I don't know his last name, unfortunately, but Carbrancon down here on his outlap currently, sitting on the Alpine, the reserve driver, I do believe. Turning up today. He's been quick on previous games, I know that. So he does have talent. So it could be exciting to see. Only 13 people turning up today, which is unfortunate, as Ross Denham manages to retire out of this session, crashing out of what I believe was not Loffield, Cups. Crashing out of Cups, which is actually, I'm going to talk about the track in a moment, but Connor, Hopefully we're going to see some surprises from him today. Maybe he's going to be able to challenge the top players. We'll just have to see. Cameron Young sitting with a 36.9, beaten by Brandon Glover again with a 36.7. So there you go, Brandon showing his pace today. Cameron Young, again, not a driver we should write off. He can drive. Unfortunately, he's had 2 DNFs this season and 1 third place. Third place coming in France. So if Cameron can keep the car on the track, he is quick. As long as he doesn't crash, he is quick and is good. I see no problems with him fighting for race wins. Unfortunately, crashes do happen, and making his first appearance of the season, for me, that I see, is Nino. I love Nino, I'll admit. Oh, Nino, speaking of, hits the wall. Lucky to not take a wheel off there. I might have cursed him with my commentary. Love Nino, he's iconic. A legend of IRL and a legendary person. Has Peruvian blood, if I remember correctly, but the Welshman is so entertaining. He's great and can be a quick driver, currently sitting third ahead of Edward Hart, who we know is one of the best drivers on this grid. So, Nino, excited to see what he can do today. First time seeing him drive on this game. He did a race last week and he got 1 singular point, so 10th place from Nino. I think we know he can do better. Hopefully he can do better, but I'm very excited to see him drive today. But for the rest of the grid, it's people we've seen before. Only 2 new additions for me, myself, to see. So, what can the rest of our usual suspects do? Kevin's currently sitting in the last place of all the drivers who have set a time with a 38.8. We know he can do better, and I'm sure he can. Hopefully just get his quali set and done, but Kevin is very much a strategic man. He often goes for a different strategy, something a little bit outside the box. As Brandon retires from the session, where is that? I cannot see. That looks like it's out of somewhere at the end of sector 1. No one's really going close to him, so I can't see a stricken car, but Brandon Glover putting himself in a weak position already. Coming towards the end of qualifying, he has crashed out of this session. We got on board with Lickle. I can't remember the name of this corner, but Village, I think. I can't see his car, but I'm not sure how he's managed to retire there. I'm not sure what's happened, but the wet weather may be catching our second victim. Brandon, that's going to hurt him in this race. Of course, Cameron can beat his time. Can anybody else? So, Brandon could still be on for a good qualifying, but we cannot be too sure. About 8 minutes to go, crashing out and hurting his chances of continuing his title fight. So it's going to be a little bit harder for him now, but we're going to see Cameron Young come around the next couple of corners. He's not improving his time, as you can see. He's setting a 140 currently, so it'll make absolutely no difference for him. Connor setting a 150, pretty much a 149.5. Not a proper lap time, so we won't count that for now. Edward Hart still sitting on top. He looks very smooth, actually. Watching him drive right now, coming through Maggots, Beckett's. Extending the track quite a bit, but he looked very smooth. He looked very in control of the car. So Edward and his signature Mercedes, I think he could be on for a good one today. I don't see why not, because of course winning the 2 races that he's finished, can he make it 3 for 3? Is he kind of like a Verstappen? As long as he gets across the line, it's normally at the front, normally first. Maybe somebody could come with an upset, but here it goes across the line, improving his time by 3.5 tenths, a 36 flat, 7 tenths ahead of the retired Brandon Glover, 9 tenths ahead of the next car that's actually working. Cameron Young way down in 3rd. I say way down, but an entire second is a lot in F1. We know that for sure. Very interesting to see. Not too many change-ups in the grid other than Sondre putting himself in P5. That's not something we see often, as our favourite Bottlehog has a tendency to spin and crash and die. So, funnily enough, here in the wet weather, he seems to be doing quite alright for himself, as Lordy sets himself 36.5. Good lap time from him. Lordy, unfortunately, has been involved in a couple of incidents that aren't really his fault, I don't think. I haven't seen the steward's report, but Lordy has been involved in a couple of incidents that have affected his race results and affected his points, therefore. So hopefully today he can brush off the curse and be able to function, get across the line, and be happy. But now, let's talk about Britain as a track. We've got, how many? 18 corners here on this track, 8 to the left and 10 to the right, which is standard, very even. A few slow bends, a lot of fast ones. It's one of the most fun circuits to drive. Real drivers love it, people on the game love it. It provides great racing, and that's what I'm hoping for today. Because I've seen it in the past. We know IRL is an entertaining league, especially up in F1. These drivers know what they're doing. As long as they keep it clean, we can see some great racing side by side. I've seen people run up to the line, people be side by side throughout an entire lap. So hopefully they don't disappoint me today. In previous commentaries, I've almost lost my voice commentating on this track because there's just been action, action, action. That's gone very wide there, is Jared. Yeah, sometimes this track just cannot give you time to breathe, whether you're driving or commentating. So only a 13 driver grid, but that doesn't mean it cannot be entertaining. We've seen it before. France was a very good race. A few little lows here and there, but that's expected. But in terms of actual racing, hopefully it still delivers. Anyway, Jared pulling into the pits, not saying another time. We're going to go on board with Connor, who's currently down by a second on his fastest time. Only 2 drivers not setting a lap so far, being Paco and Luke. Other than the retired Ross Denham, Brandon's still sitting in 4th with 3.5 minutes to go. So not bad for him. He could still secure himself maybe a top 8 qualifying, which won't be bad. Kevin currently sitting down in 10th, the slowest of all the drivers who have set a time. Hopefully he's going to want to improve. Soon people are going to be going out for their final fast laps, which will be exciting to see. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Of course, this lap is invalidated, so Connor's just going to pull into the pits. Not wear out these tyres anymore, as we've got Lordy's the only man out on track, also invalidated, meaning that everybody's in the pits and we just got to wait for these final few lap times. My apologies for going silent. But anyway, we just gotta wait for these people to leave the pits. They'll be doing that in any second now, I'm sure. Literally every single driver is in the pits, just waiting for the optimum time to get on track. We see Lordy getting pushed into his garage, and I believe, who's that coming out? There goes a Red Bull. It's the first one out on track now. I've seen a comment. Race going to be wet for 10 minutes and dry throughout. Thank you very much to Connor for giving us that insight for this race. So 10 minutes at the start, we're going to have wet, and then from then on it is dry. So still a battle of strategy. When are you going to make that call to go in for the dries? Maybe when DRS gets enabled, maybe a little bit before. It's going to be a gamble, and that can change up the order depending on safety cars too. A lot can change in this race, so again, very unpredictable. And what do you prioritize with your setup? Admittedly, it isn't very much rain, so I doubt people are going to be leaning towards a wet setup, unless you really want a good qualifying position. But I'm not sure how worth it is. So actually, I just realised the track's completely dry, which explains why everybody stayed in the pits. If we have a look at everybody's tyres, as you can see, everybody out on track right now is on the soft. So Britain, with its ever-changing weather, you can see has thrown another curveball at us, which everything lines up and makes sense why everybody pulled into the pits. I didn't even notice the track was drying out. So again, this shows everybody's pace in the dry. So either true telling, as everybody has one lap to get it right. Anybody who qualifies on the softs will be quicker than their into time. They have to be, which puts Brandon in an even worse spot. Ross Denham is already at the bottom. He hasn't set a lap time. This might also explain Luke and Paco not going out. Lordy retires from the session as well. It looks like he was just coming out of the pits and he didn't make it in time. meaning that Lordy, Brandon and Ross could be our bottom 3 today, depending on how many people invalidate. So Brandon taking a big hit for his championship hopes, constructors and drivers. This is a big change, and this is a great chance for Edward to try and extend his lead, and even Jared to try and overtake him. Jared needs a good result. He's about 14 points away from Brandon, so I say Brandon doesn't finish in the points, he needs to get third. So Jared, he's going to be fighting to catch up and try and put himself in position to win this title. He is currently out on a lap, so is Cameron. Everybody's out now. Nino's going to set a better time. Neither is Luke or Paco. Edward is done with his qualifying session, so this means it's up to Jared, who can set a pole position time. Maybe even Cameron Young, his teammate. The Rebels are looking in fantastic position right now. There's an absolute train behind Cameron. He's in the perfect areas. DRS gets enabled. Look at the absolute train behind him. How is anybody meant to function in that? You got Jared just ahead of him as well. Jared not getting the benefits of DRS like the others would have. You've got Kevin just behind Cameron right now. Cameron again setting purple sexes. That's exactly what we expect. These drivers who haven't been able to set a time now on this dry track have been hurt significantly. All these drivers have to do now is not invalidate, and they will improve their times. Surely, unless you spin or something, make no mistakes, stay on the track, and you have got a good time. And it looks like, yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed to start in the top 10, which is great to see. I mean, Nino, I just realised, there you go, Hamrick coming across the line with 31.6, not the fastest lap of his life. I'm sure that will be beaten. It's going to be Jared to come across the line next. Foot to the floor, he sets a 131.5. We got, who's coming next? It's going to be Cameron. Cameron, can he beat his teammate? It's looking good for him now. He tests the first 30 of this session, a 30 flat. Can anybody beat that? It looks like we've got another, no, not another retirement. Sandre doesn't improve. Now it's only up to Connor, the final man on the track now. Getting a little bit of a toe around the final corner. He's not going to improve either. And that is the end of qualifying. And Cameron Young takes pole position with his teammate in second place behind him. A fantastic session for the Red Bull team. They got their strategy perfect with qualifying. Going out on the right time, on the right tyres. As you can see, the top 4, the people who set times on the softs, have succeeded in getting top 4. So Kevin saving Aston Martin there in 4th place, but also Hamrick with a valiant effort in 3rd. But Cameron Young is just quicker than everybody else today. 1.4 seconds splitting him from anybody else in the grid. Unfortunately, everybody else who set a time was on the interstate, weren't able to get in a clean lap with their softs. And 3 people without a time, being Ross Denham, who crashed, Paco and Luke, who just didn't get round to set another time. So a big congratulations to the Red Bull team with a sister team in 3rd, Aston Martin sitting in 4th. Currently in the Constructors title, we haven't been able to talk about that just yet. It's currently Aston Martin winning, with Kevin and Brandon, of course, being 1st and 4th in the drivers, putting them in great position to win. And then Edward Hart and Alfioli in the Mercedes team sitting in 2nd right now, not scoring a single point in Australia, because I'm not sure about Alfioli's whereabouts. And Edward Hart retired, of course. I'm not sure we're going to be getting a formation lap, so we've got to prepare ourselves to get straight into this race, as this game is broken and glitchy. We've got 20 seconds to see how this will all unfold. Weather was wrong. I was going to mention that as well. We've got a dry track. No changes. Just the same as it was at the end of qualifying. As my cuckoo clock ticks 5 minutes early. We're about to get ready for the start of this race. A very fast first corner. It's going to be difficult to go side by side. We could expect a couple of spins. Could expect a couple of crashes. The 5 red lights are on. And they are gone, and we are racing in Britain. Who's going to get a good start? You see the Alpine moving into the middle already, putting himself in a hard position, trying to go around the outside. It looks like Cameron Young's got a good start. Jared getting overtaken by Hamrick around the outside. There's a crash already. It looks like the Mercedes is off. It's Edward Hart, the championship fighter, is off, and Hamrick gets overtaken by Jared. Jared still sitting in 2nd. Kevin Harrison putting himself up into 3rd. Got 3 wide into Village. Here they go into the first long straight up this track. A lot of slipstream is going to be very, very important around the track, and Hamrick goes round. Hamrick ruining his good qualifying, down into 12th. Connor also crashing and spinning. Here's Lordy up into 6th, getting overtaken by Nino up the inside. Nino's up into 5th. Kevin Harrison going slowly, moving down into P5. I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like a bit of contact, maybe even with his teammate. Brandon Glover is back up into 3rd. He's made a good recovery. Nino up into 4th. A great start from him. Lordy, he's out over the back of Kevin. He's going to want to get that position right away. Paco's fighting as well. He goes side by side. Lordy up the inside aspect. So sorry, Kevin into P5. He goes through cops. It's a risky move into Baggers and Beckers. Kevin is on the attack. Sondre somehow already got himself a penalty. I don't know how he's managed that, but the Ferrari moves up into P6. And oh, Kevin's had contact! Who was that? Someone just absolutely taken him out through Baggers and Beckers. He must be screaming at Aston Martin. I don't know what's happened there. As you can see, Ross Denham is off at the track as well. It might have been Ross that hit him actually. We've got yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. Cameron Young 1.6 seconds ahead of anybody. What a fantastic start from him. Except Nino, he's going to try and go around the outside of Brian Glover. He's going to do it coming into Vale. He's on the inside of the next section. A little bit of corner cutting, a bit of track he's sending. Except here comes Brandon to try and hold it around the outside. Nino puts himself up to P3. A fantastic start from him coming into Abbey. Now, Brandon Glover, he's going to move to the inside. He looked like he wanted to go for a move, but wasn't quite able to do it. A 5-second time penalty for Ross Denham as well for speeding in the pit lane. Here comes Brandon. Can he go up the inside? No moves for him just yet. He's going to sit behind Jared. He's going to try and make as much of a gap as he can as Lordy spun around again. Another man off into the grass. Nobody can seem to keep on the track as Brandon swings it around the outside of Nino. I'm not sure what happened there. Nino dropping another position as Brandon tries to fight his way back to succeed in his championship fight. Nino's looking quick right now. He looks like he can smell blood. He is fighting. Fantastic start of him to move up into P4, Brandon up into P3, but Jared and Cameron still sitting high and mighty in those Red Bulls. Looking good and looking quick. This could be good for their constructors' fight to make a little recovery, except here comes Edward Hart on Luke going up the inside in cops as easy as you like. No worries for him. Yellow flag in sector 1, but that doesn't really matter. It looks like it's Ross Denham again going slowly. 30 seconds behind. Hammer again, 3-second time penalty, and that is not a line you want to take as Luke absolutely flies across this S section. He's got a lot of understeer. Couldn't get the line right at all. As Nino, he's now the closest driver to anybody. Jared, he's going to want to try and hold Brandon, Nino, everybody as far back as he can from Cameron, who is of course trying to win this championship. Again, quick, this could be a chance for his first win as Edward Hart has not had a great start. He's all the way down in 7th. Of course, Cameron Young setting the fastest time. Haven't even had time to check what tyres everybody's on right now, how many positions have been made up. But as you can see, Nino, he's all over the back of that Aston Martin. He is looking so strong today in that beautiful Alfa Romeo. He's all over the back of that gearbox as there's another spin. It looks like it might be Connor way down the back of the grid, but here's Nino all over the back of Brandon. DRS is now enabled. Jared in a weak position, still 3 seconds behind his teammate. Connor getting the 5-second time penalty. Nino couldn't catch up enough with the slipstream alone. DRS helping him out just a little bit. Now Jared is under pressure. There's 2 cars behind him, absolutely hounding him. Another yellow flag in sector 3. Nobody can keep on the track. I don't know what's going on here, but Nino all over the back of Brandon. He is so quick. He wants this position so badly. He's giving Brandon no time to breathe, but therefore no real opportunity as he extends cops a little bit and gets a 3-second time penalty, which is already going to put him at a disadvantage for later on in this race, which means he's going to have to keep this pace up and try and find his way ahead. Jared is currently on the mediums, as is Cameron Young, so these soft tyres should be quicker. Except Brandon doesn't seem to be able to catch up quite enough on the straight. He wants to hold around the outside, but Jared going defensive. Brandon couldn't find his way through that time, but it looks like he's very close. And there you go. He pulls to the outside, trying to go around the outside into Vale. Can Nino capitalise on this as they go slowly? Brandon's up into P2. Jared just about sticks onto P3, except Nino is not going to let him do anything like that. As you can see, he's so close. He's pushing these cars around right now. He wants this. Here he comes into turn 3. He's going to go up the inside. Surely Jared gets beaten. Almost gets so close to Brandon. Really pushing the limits. Jared's going to try and hold around the outside. Nino stays on the inside, holding it defensive. Sondre is dropping back and back and back. Looks like he's spun as well, which is unfortunate to see. But there you go. Nino up into P3. Jared dropping 2 positions. Those mediums, the harder tyres, were never really going to survive. Kevin is currently the only man on hards. No, he's not. Sorry. Ross Denham is as well. So Kevin, the only man starting on hards, making a bold strategy choice. I told you he would. It's very common for him. But now Edward Hart, damage limitation is what it's about now for him. He's going to try and make up a few more positions. As you can see, he's just behind Paco now to get himself back up into the top 5. Jared isn't over and done with yet though. He's still sticking on the back of Nino and Brandon. The DRS is going to help him out a little bit as they come through Maggers and Beckett's. Now, Nino, he's going to have DRS. Brandon is not. It's going to be a test of straight line speed. Of course, these are equal cars, so the differences in engines won't make much of a difference in the Mercedes and the Ferrari power. But it doesn't look like Nino's going to get quite close enough. Not enough gaining on the slipstream and the DRS for him this time round. He has got a penalty, don't forget, as Edward Hart gets past Paco, except Paco isn't done. It's very close still. Can he pull over to the inside? Edward's sitting almost in the middle. Not quite giving Paco enough room. Paco sits behind, stays safe, keeps the car intact. Of course, Paco, I believe in the last few races, had a few incidents, get himself a few little scuffles, except Jared is very close to Nino. I thought he was going to be mounting a move there, but it doesn't look like he fully committed to it. Only a tenth away he was though. Nino dropping back from Brandon, so maybe Brandon's pace is stronger than we thought. Cameron Young still 4 seconds ahead despite being on the harder tyres, so he's had a fantastic start. Can anybody catch him now? I guess it will all depend on a safety car or something. That's the only thing I can imagine that will stop anybody from catching him this race, because he seems worlds above and beyond anybody else on this track today. Paco looks he's dropping back little by little on Edward Hart in front of him. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make a move anytime soon. Besides that, we got Sandre only 5 tenths away from Kevin. He has had a couple of spins, and there you go again, losing the rear, losing himself time, not doing himself any favours. Is Jared, he's going to try and get back past Nino, as those softs seem like they're losing a bit of pace now. As Jared, he is in the slipstream, but doesn't look like he's quite got enough straight line speed on this setup to be able to do anything about it. But the mediums do look quicker than the softs now. Softs were kicking in, of course, not the optimum tyres, and Nino has a little bit of a twitch in the rear, and Jared's going to try and capitalise on that. In fact, he's going up the inside and he's done it. Nino concedes a position as he makes a mistake, and Jared says thank you very much and takes full advantage and gets way back past into P3. But now this means Jared isn't going to have DRS into the next straight, as he's 1.2 seconds away from Brandon ahead of him. Brandon's going to try and catch up to Cameron Young, but it doesn't look like anybody's catching him today. Another half a second gained on that last lap. Nino on the exit looks quicker. He's going to have DRS, he's going to have slipstream. How much of a difference is it going to make? Not seems to be, and not many people can catch on straights this race. He's going to try hold around the outside. Doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. Yellow flag is 6-1 again as Sandre spins once more. That's something we've become used to see, which is very sad as a former quick driver. A good driver in past, but Bottlehaug returns and cannot seem to keep this car on the track in this game. Very sad to see, but Nino all over the back of Jared. 1.5 seconds now splits these two from the Aston Martin. Edward Hart picking up a 3-second time penalty. Everyone seems to be cutting the corners today. Again, track extending is difficult on this track. It's very easy to do. Plenty of places where there's plenty of runoff to just extend those white lines a little bit too much. Do that 3 times and you're in the bin with a warning. Here comes he now. Look at that straight line speed. Now he's going to do it. Up the inside he goes. The Alfa Romeo. Can Jared do anything? He goes to a switchback. They can be side by side. Couple of final couple of corners. Jared switches over to the inside. Nino pulls into the pits. He makes the first call of this race. The first man to try and do an undercut. So Nino pulling into the pits now. Where is he going to come out? Way back, I imagine. But how can this work for him when the rest decide to pull in? Potentially this lap now. How much will he be able to beat them on those cold mediums? Pull into the pits. Hopefully is a good stop with the new pit stop. What's it called? Like function in this game where you can time your pit stop. Adding a little bit of extra skill in this section of the race, which we do love to see. Nino coming out in P9, Sandre just behind him. We look up and down the grid, there doesn't seem to be many fights going on, except Sandre right behind the sister car, the fellow Ferrari car. Is he going to try and fight him with Nino's cold mediums? Can he keep it on the track long enough to be able to do so? He's going to have DRS and slipstream, so I think Jared's actually going to try this. Except he doesn't look quite as quick. There he goes. He's going to pull over to the inside. Go on. Here comes Sandre. I just realised I called him Jared. He pulls over to the inside. Yeah, and he's done it in fact. Nino couldn't hold him behind as Ross Denham retires from this session. Is this going to mean a safety car or anything? There you go, a full course caution. I'm going to go on board and try and look for these LED signs because I don't actually get told what it is. I'm trying to look and see, but I can't tell. Looks like we got the first Rebel into the pits. There you go, Cameron Young pulling in. Brandon doing the dive. Jared doing the dive. Edward doing the dive. Everybody's in. Jared getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is big for him. He was very high up in the standings so far in this race, and he's just affecting himself a little bit more with a 5-second time penalty. If he needs to pit again in this race, and then that'll be served in the pit stop. If not, it'll be added on to the end of his race time. Of course, he's double stacking with Cameron as well. Cameron going on to the hards. Seemed like a slow pit stop. Wait, no, sorry, that was Jared. I was having a brain fart of sorts. There you go, Paco down into P5. Jared dropping into P4. Sondre, Nino. Oh, a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Sondre. Has Nino got damage? It looks like that front right end plate has been knocked off. So there you go, penalties all round for people during this race. As you can see, Sondre with the most, 11 seconds, 8 seconds for some, 6 seconds is a full safety car. No, I was going to say virtual would have been in by now. So this bunches everybody back up together. Are we going to see any different strategies? Is anybody going to go not onto the hards? I don't think so. It's going to be hards from here on out. Cameron losing his advantage that he had gained off this race start. For the first 8 laps, he managed to gain 4 seconds on anybody else. Brandon sitting comfortable in second. A good recovery from him. Edward, however, one of our strongest drivers so far, of course, is 2 race wins, in 3rd position. So these two are going to be fighting balls to the wall to try and secure as many points as they can and keep each other at bay. As long as Brandon stays ahead of Edward, he stays ahead in the championship as well, and hopefully gaining a couple more points on him, which could be crucial at the end of this season. It's all about consistency. Of course, Edward has the penalty, so if Brandon can stay within that, even if Edward gets past him, then I see no problems, and Brandon will be able to get back ahead. Except Kevin is the only one who's decided to go on softs for now. A man who's famous for his weird strategies has decided to be weird again. I mean, considering everybody's on hards and he's off softs, we expect him to be much quicker than anybody else in this race. And there you go, the Alpine pulling into the pits. That's Paco Suarez. Despite being on the hards anyway, he's pulled into the pits. I'm not too sure why. I'm not sure what his reasoning is. Same with Sondre pulling into the pits. Maybe to just serve that 5 seconds, get away with it now, which could be a good, clever strategy actually. Is Kevin only man on the softs? Is he going to be trying to go soft to medium? Do a different strategy, a 2-stop of sorts now? I mean, everybody else is on the hards. Why the softs? He's going to make up positions, but then he's just going to have to pit again as Nino retires from the session. As Hamrick's had a spin as well, it looks like. Nino is out of this race. I think Hamrick and Nino might have just crashed together under the safety car. How did that happen? How does that happen that Nino, who looks so quick during this race, is just off to the side in turn 2? That is so weird. I have no idea what's happened there. That is very, very, very interesting to see. I'm sure a Stewards report is going to be needed. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, on the race start, Cameron Young, he's going to try and build back up that lead that he gains at the start of this race. I'm sure he can do it. He seems quick, but the main battle that we're going to be looking at today is Brandon and Edward, I think. Jared, of course, is going to try and put himself in the mix. Here we got the top 3 of the standings, all sat together, P2, 3, 4, in the exact order that the championship is in. If only Kevin can get past Lordy, and then we'd have perfect 1, 2, 3, 4. Cameron Young, though, hopefully trying to get himself back into contention, as if I take a view at the standings, he is, where is he? In P8 with a 1/3 place. So, As long as he can stay out of incidents on this restart, I think he'll be A-okay. We have one more lap onto safety car as it looks like somebody pulls into pits. It's Paco again, who went onto mediums, only for them to be 7 laps old. Sandro pulling into the pits as well. Paco going back in, probably for more hards, as he realises he's made a mistake. We got Luke also into the pits, which is very, very odd. Only 2 retirements now. 11 cars left in this race. Nino and Ross Denham, the only 2 to crash. Also, I realised that I said Nino had Peruvian blood. He also has Italian blood. Let's not forget about that. Welsh, Italian, Peru. A nice combination, I like to think. Unfortunately, we can't hear that beautiful national anthem at the end of this race if he managed to somehow win. See how this race, that's so interesting. I want to know what happened there, because Hamrick got a penalty for it as well, and looks like he was off the track. So whose fault it was really, because this game doesn't really know how to give out penalties for contact on the safety car, you know, properly. Like, anybody gets it for any contact, no matter who brake checks who. But I want to know the story there, how it got to be how it got to be. Anyway, Lordy up into P5, not bad from him, you know, bringing himself back. Let's see all the position changes. There you go. Brandon up 5 places, Edward up 2, making a recovery after his spin at the start. Jared down 2, which is not too unfortunate considering he started second and he's had himself a moment or two and he had a little double stack, so not bad from Jared. Kevin down 2, unfortunately. He's going to try and work his way back. Lordy up 1. Not too many changes that we wouldn't expect at all. Safety car is in this lap. That's exactly as expected. Now let's see how many positions Kevin can make up and if he can assist Brandon. If he can get in front of Edward and just sit there and push from back and back and back, maybe Kevin could pull off some fantastic strategy for his teammate here. But anyway, we're going to go on board with Cameron. We're going to bring up the telemetry as well, so we can see when he puts that foot down. He's going to be holding them for a little bit longer coming into the final couple of corners. I imagine straight on the exit he's going to put his foot down and fly away. It's all I can think of. The safety car's pulled in, so he can kind of go whenever he wants to. As you can see, holding the throttle just through this section, and there you go. He's sure he's going to put his foot down. There it is. He accelerates away, and we are racing again in Britain. Who behind him is going to be able to challenge? Any overtakes going to be made into the first corner? Doesn't seem like it. Cameron getting a very good restart once again. There you go. Kevin, he's all over the back of Lordy already. He's going to try and make a move. Maybe yes. He pulls off the inside, brakes late. There you go. The Aston Martin up into the top 5 again. Kevin with a fantastic move on those soft tyres. Of course, he's going to be quicker than anybody else right now. Connor, he's going to try and get past Hamrick, who's involved in the incident on the safety car. There you go. The Alpine is passed as well. Up into P7 he goes. Now Kevin, his next victim is going to be Jared. You can see he's quick. He's gaining. 1 second ahead is Cameron Young already. It's too easy for him. His Hamrick's going side by side with Connor again. He's going to try and get back past him. Connor stays on the inside and he keeps that position. Hamrick wasn't able to make it happen for him this time, except his exit seems alright. He looks like he wanted to go up the inside on the exit of Luffield there. And there he goes. He's off the inside into the cops. Can he be able to make this move work? It's gone wrong in the past. Can it go right this time? No. Connor stays on the outside and keeps it stuck. Except he's still side by side. Hamrick going on the grass to try and make this move. He's going to go around the outside, coming to the F section. Cuts the corner a little bit, and there you go. Another Alpine getting past Paco. Up into P8, taking full advantage of Hamrick's little mistake. Kevin only 3 tenths away from Jared now. Near the slipstream on this straight line. Can he be able to make a move? Another late braking dive. Oh, surely he's going to do it. He pulls up the inside just a little bit. Stays behind for now. There you go, Sandro again past Hamrick. Hamrick dropping position after position right now as he's fighting a lot, almost contact. Hamrick going out wide, somehow keeping that move, sweeping around the outside. Sandro staying in P10 for now. 1.5 seconds for Cameron as he sits fastest lap of the race on the restart. Well done to him. Connor again overtaken by his teammate Paco. Except Connor is a reserve driver, don't forget, but still, that doesn't matter too much. Kevin in P5 needs to catch up with Jared just a little bit more. 1 more lap until DRS is enabled. So Kevin, sitting in P5, has a bit of time to make up on these soft tyres. Let's not forget, if there's another safety car, he could pit for mediums to be in a fantastic position if this race goes perfectly for him, but we'll just have to wait and see. There you go, he's in the slipstream, not close enough for a move again. Brandon is nearly a second away from Edward on the restart. A good restart from him, but not quite perfect. He's so close to securing himself a more sturdy P2. But there you go, Kevin's overtake is open. He wants to get past Jared, he's just sticking with him, giving him pressure. Staying close, he's almost pulling over to the inside to try and make a move through this S section, which can be tricky and can lose you a lot of time, but surely down this straight, as long as you can stay with him, you can make a move. They're both pretty much equal on the ERS, not the perfect line from Kevin though, so this is going to be difficult for him to make a proper move. He's gaining a little bit, he seems quick on the straights, does Kevin. But is he quick enough to make an overtake? Doesn't seem like it for now. Down the bottom of the grid, we've got Hamrick in the fight. We've got lots of people make overtakes. There you go, Pack over to P6. Lordy just behind him. Lordy's going to try and go around the outside. He's quite tight on this section of the track. Hard to get right. Is he going to be able to hold it? It's going to be inside for the next corner. It could be this for Lordy. There you go. Up to P6 he goes. Well done from Lordy. Except Paco all over his gearbox. Look how close he is. Oh. Oh, going a little bit wide though. Yellow flag is sector 3. Looks like that's Luke going slowly. A spin for him. Unfortunate again. But Paco, oh, a little bit of a mistake. This puts Hamrick all over his tail. Connor as well, getting overtaken by Hamrick. About 4 cars that were involved in a fight. Kevin doesn't. Oh, Hamrick! Round a perfect 360. Lucky to not spin around any more than he did. Hamrick spinning around again, which is very sad to see. Kevin is faster in sector 2 than Jared, but it seems like in sector 1 and 3 he's just not able to keep with him. He's not able to make any moves and just get in front, so his soft tyre advantage seems to be falling away more and more. Jared of course has got a penalty, but there's 3 seconds between Kevin and Edward ahead of him, so Kevin needs to get past Jared and needs to pray for a safety car or something to keep him in contention of getting a podium in this race. But yellow flag 6, 1 and 2 again. Luke just cannot seem to keep this car in a straight line. It's very sad to see, but now with DRS, can Kevin do anything? No. Sits behind again. Paco and Lordy, nothing. Sandra and Connor, nothing. No more moves made during that part. I'm trying to remember what that, I can't remember the corner's called. Never mind. This is the one track where I actually know the names of corners. Of course, I've been to Silverstone, been to Silverstone Grand Prix, and I used to go to college here once upon a time. Last year, in fact. So, once a second home for me, and a home race for a lot of drivers, that's for sure. Yellow flag 62, Luke, I'm not sure what's going on with him, but it's not going well, that's for sure. How close can Kevin be coming to this straight? Jared looks like he's got a better exit, but can the DRS and Ciprium and the little thimble of ERS that Kevin has left, can he do anything? Jared moves over into the middle to make a defensive position. Kevin tries hard around the outside. He's on the inside for Loffield. Somehow he's going to make this stick, maybe. Side by side on the exit. It's all about the exit now. The softer tyres, surely, could be able to do something. Still running side by side. Coming down into Cops. Kevin looks like he's just about ahead, but it's not perfect yet. Kevin has to sit back inside. Jared keeps that position somehow. Kevin trying his absolute best. Wasn't able to capitalise fully, wasn't able to stay in P4, drops behind once more. Jared with a fantastic defensive drive, just staying in front of Kevin, giving him no room. Just positioning the car perfectly to prevent Kevin getting a good enough exit to just breeze past him. No dives down the inside for him, except Paco now with his DRS open, pulls up to the inside and flies past Lordy. Surely that's moved on. There you go. Lordy drops back down into P7. Lordy with a couple of spins in this race, doing alright for himself right now, except Jared and Kevin are side by side. Kevin's in front now, he's going to have to go right outside, it's going to be difficult contact. Kevin is round, Jared stays on the track somehow he keeps control and stays in P4. A bit of contact there, I only saw the end. 10-second time penalty. What do you mean? Okay, that's getting removed at the end of this race, surely. But Kevin, with a bit of contact with Jared, is always going to be almost impossible to hold it side by side. Direct section of the track is Connor drives up the inside of Lordy. Lordy having to hold it around the outside. Not a perfect exit for Connor as he jumped over that sausage curb, impeding his exit a little bit. Except Edward Hart is all over the back of Brandon now. Kevin hurting Constructors' title chances. They're going to stay ahead net on this race, but it's not as good as it could be. Cameron Young is running away right now. 3 seconds is the difference. Of course, Edward has a penalty, so as long as Brandon keeps clean, he can stay in this P2 pretty strongly and pretty happily. It looks like he's got pretty competitive pace compared to Edward, but we'll just have to see how these tyres age and how consistent the two drivers can stay. It looks like there's going to be no move from Edward, despite the DRS. Not enough closing. There doesn't seem to be much closing going on in the straights in this race. And Kevin, what's he going to do with his strategy now? Surely pull into the pits for mediums, but it's not going to be a great finish for him. Not one that we would have wanted. The side-by-side with Jared through the final corner was always going to be tricky. It could be a racing incident, it could fall a fault on one of the drivers, but I cannot say for sure, so I cannot give a true opinion. Edward close to Brandon. There's overtaking going on at the back. There you go. Kevin's pulled into the pits. Surely I'm imagining mediums for the last 10 laps of this race. Edward, an okay exit. He's got the DRS and ERS on Brandon, but again, no move is going to be made coming into that corner. How long can Brandon stay in front? Because Edward seems to be that little bit quicker with the slipstream. Can Brandon stay ahead? And if not, can he just stay within those 3 seconds, I believe, of penalties that... Yeah, 3 seconds that Edward has. I think potentially they're both very quick. I think it's between these two for the title. Only 1 point separating them after 3 races. How many will it be after 4? As it stands right now, it'll be 4 ahead for Brandon if he finishes in second, and then 3 ahead for Edward if he finishes in second. So time can only tell as we come into the exactly final 10 laps of this race, as once our Cameron Young comes around the final corner. We're just going to keep an eye on this fight between these two, because Edward is close, but not quite close enough. You have to be within 5/10 at least. As Sondre gets past Hamrick, they're side by side in fact. Look at that. Sondre up the inside, putting himself up to P8. Hamrick dropping into P9. Unfortunately I missed that again, only saw the tail end. I apologise. Kevin did go into the mediums in the end. Just had to check that. But there you go. Sondre up into P8. Hamrick having to go down to P9. Edward still behind Brandon, still not close enough to make a move. He wants to get just a couple of tenths closer. He's under braking, closes up a lot. Maybe not hitting the perfect line that you wanted. It's all about the exit on this corner though. And it looks like Brandon is just a little bit quicker on the exit. There you go, as Sondre, as he spun, yes of course he has, makes a position and spins again. So bye bye Jared. No luck for him today. Still in P9 however, as there you go, Edward going out very far. Could be another warning for him, but he's kept going on the runoff, which can avoid you a penalty, but all fair play in the game. DRS is going to be open, he's 5/10 away, but you can see that Aston Martin car is just a little bit too far in the distance. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything right now. The only fight that, I say fight, only cars within a second of each other on the track right now are these two, so this is all we really can watch. Unless somebody behind decides to start getting involved with each other. Kevin's still holding on to one solitary point, 20 seconds behind the next car. Maybe somebody will want to go for a faster slap or something in the mid-pack. Maybe even Kevin himself trying to salvage an extra point. He has got a free pit stop pretty much, with Luke 41 seconds behind him. Yellow flags again, as it looks like it's Hamrick who spun around the AlphaTauri, which puts Sondre and Hamrick close together again. But anyway, let's keep looking at Edward and Brandon. Edward is closer this lap again, but Brandon always faster on the exits. He's got so much more ERS too, 50% compared to Edward's 20. Brandon looks like he's in the driving seat for this race, funnily enough, as Hamrick gets past Sondre again. Sondre making another mistake in sector 1, slowing himself down. Oh, whoa, Edward! Edward making a mistake down onto the grass, costing himself a lot of time, and potentially a P2 in this race, as he's dropped 2 seconds back from one mistake through Luffield. And now he's put himself in a really weak position, 2.5 seconds behind now is he, with his 3 seconds, meaning it's 5.5 seconds, technically is the gap. If he must manage to overtake and get past. Does he get DRS off of this lap car? No, he doesn't. You might get a little bit of slipstream which can tow him back in, but Brandon 4 seconds away from Cameron Young. Can he make that up? It seems unlikely, but yellow flag is sector 3. No way. Oh my god, Cameron spun! Cameron spun out of the lead! He drops into P3 and Brandon is the race leader for now! Edward's mistake and Cameron's mistake have absolutely played perfectly into his hands. Brandon takes the lead in this race. 8 laps to go. 7 laps, depending on how you count it, I'm not really sure. But, about 2.5 seconds is the gap to Edward. Brandon has now put himself in the perfect position to take his first race win. He's been so consistent. P2, pretty much every race I think it was. P2... yeah, P3, P2, P2, and now he could finally make this P1. This could be great for Brandon Glover. It's played into his hands. As long as he keeps his pace consistent and keeps it on the track, this could be a great day for Brandon and a great day for Aston Martin. Of course, Alfieri isn't here today, so Edward is going to have a hard time trying to carry his team now for the constructors. So Aston Martin and Brandon have been put into a fantastic position as Cameron just makes a mistake. He is doing everything right this race. Everything seemed perfect and okay. He makes one mistake, one spin, one tiny little thing, and he puts himself back down to P3. If he can make up 1.2, 1.3 seconds, then he can still get the P2 from Edward due to Edward's penalty. But it's just a case of pace and keeping the tyres now, which would have been overheated a little bit from the spin, as he sets a purple sector 1 in fact. Sector 2, sorry. And as long as he can keep this car on the track, keep it going in a straight line, keep the tyres cool, calm, collected, he can still salvage a P2 from this race. Unfortunate for Cameron. It seemed like such an easy race win for him, setting the fastest lap of this race, so an extra point going his way. It seems so easy for him this entire race. He was quicker than everybody, sitting happily at the front, makes one mistake and down into P3. Very unfortunate for him, except here comes Sondre and Hamrick again. These two have been at it all race. With a few laps to go, can Sondre get himself a couple more points and put himself up to P8? Let's wait and see, and just have a little look. Sondre, very entertaining of course, as he gets himself into fights, but plenty of spins as well. Connor within a second of Lordy. Can he get close enough? Connor seems to be middling in pace. Unfortunately not quite able to keep it truly consistent. I think maybe with a bit more practice he can do all right for himself. But anyway, here's Sondre in the DRS and the slipstream of Hamrick. Can he do anything to this corner? Doesn't try it. Doesn't seem to commit. Cameron is closing in on Edward, and oh, lock up for Sondre it looked like. Except if we look back up at the front of the grid, Edward is closing a little bit on Brandon, and Cameron is closing on Edward. I'm not sure it's going to be enough for Cameron to take the race win here, I'll be honest, but it could be close enough for a P2, and then depending on how Brandon's pace and Edward's pace goes to the end of this race, maybe a fight for the win, but I'm not sure how likely it is. I'm sure Brandon's just trying to keep as calm as possible as Cameron's just another fastest lap of this race. He's flying right now. 5 laps to go. Can any differences be made? How much can he salvage now after that one spin? That's just how quickly everything can change in Formula 1. One little... oh, hang on, there you go. Just as I was saying, one misplacement of the throttle can cost you an entire position and an entire race win potentially. There you go, Hamrick getting a little bit wayward on the rear, then Sondre slipped by into P8. How long will he be able to keep that? Who knows? What a race finish for Mr. Ross Denham. I don't quite understand the Warra bit. I'll wait for you to clarify for me. There you go, Luke getting himself lapped by Connor as well now. Connor is now the closest car to anybody in the grid. Cameron has put himself within 3 seconds of Edward in front, so he's now sitting in a net P2. Not bad from him. 3 seconds splits Edward and Brandon. I'm not sure we're going to see anyone challenging Brandon now. Of course Cameron is quicker, but can he make up that much time in 5 laps, 4 laps? The math's too hard for me to calculate. I don't know, lap, whatever. You know what I mean. Connor's still closing in. Cameron setting another fastest lap of this race. He just gets quicker and quicker and quicker. You see he's 1.3 seconds away from Edward now. He's got so quick. Look at him. You can see that he's on the absolute edge of car control. Edward did lose time, however, to Brandon, so that makes me think he might have made a mistake. But as you can see, Cameron is just pushing his car to the limit. Connor right behind Lordy, though. Cameron gets himself within a second, just keeps taking chunks and chunks at a time out of Edward. There you go. Connor pulls up to the inside. He's going to try and make this move. Lordy holding around the outside still. It's going to be tight through this corner. It's flat, don't forget. Lordy staying on the track, not running out too wide. DRS for Connor is going to make himself a little bit easy. He's only just pulling ahead. It's going to be a test of brakes now. There you go. His head. Lordy's going to try to hold up the inside. Doesn't quite yet. They managed to do it. And Connor moves up to P6. The Alpines again reunited. Lordy, can he do anything to fight back? It looked like Connor was just quicker during that little section. Hamrick is within a second again. Sandro though, which makes you think he's made a mistake. Let's go back up to the front of the grid. As you can see, Cameron Young flying. He is quick. He is going for it. He wants that P2 on track. And maybe even a race win if he can keep this pace up. We're not really too sure. It'll be about a second a lap that he's going to have to take out of Brandon. But surely he's going to get Edward. He's got DRS now. Hammering himself a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be Lordy on Connor though at the back. As you can see, there you go. Flying past on the outside. Test the brakes again. It's going to be Connor on the inside this time. Connor on the inside. Holds it again. Lordy can't do anything about it except he pulls up the inside. Yes, he can do something about it. And Connor again on the brakes. He's so late on it every single time. Lordy, maybe a little bit of contact, but I'm not too sure what happened. Connor not a perfect exit, however. He's going to be under a little bit of pressure. We have to keep an eye on that time though at the front. With Connor, Cameron and Edward. Let's go back up to that. As you can see, coming down this straight, DRS is open, slipstream, no changes as yet coming into Brooklyn. So let's go back down to Lordy. Can you do anything with Connor ahead of him? Keep an eye on the gap with Cameron though, because we may have to fly back up to have a look at that, and that's what we're going to do now. Only 3.5 tenths splitting, and 4.5 seconds it is to Brandon. Surely Brandon cannot lose this now, provided he makes no mistakes. Cameron still looking quick, 3 tenths. Surely down this next straight he's going to be able to make this move. Surely. He looks so quick. He's saying fastest lap after fastest lap. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream. Slightly less ERS. The ERS is open. The DRS is open. He's going to go for it now. He's getting close. He's getting closer, but not quite close enough. Maybe he's going to try going outside. No, he pulls up to the inside. Edward, he's going to stick it at P2 around outside. It's going to be difficult. A little bit of a twitch on the rear. He's going to be on the inside for this next corner. Red Bull and Mercedes side by side. We see this so often in real life. We've seen it on the game. Edward stays ahead. Cameron doesn't quite make the move stick, except on this exit it could be still up for him. Sandra getting himself a 3-second time penalty. 3 laps to go. It's a sprint race to the end. Brandon 5 seconds ahead of these two. Surely there's no catching him now. But Cameron, he wants his P2 on track. He's still flying. He wants to have a fight. He's still looking to be entertained. He wants to prove himself in the knowledge that he's a quick driver and can still fight for this championship despite any crashes and mistakes he's had in previous. The DRS and the slipstream. Can it be enough this time? Edward pulling over a little bit to the inside. Looked like he wanted to settle for a defensive manoeuvre, but pulled out of it, realising that Cameron just wasn't quite close enough to make an overtake. Connor only 2 tenths away from Lordy, however. I'm going to stay with these two because this is a slightly more important fight considering positions and championship. This Cameron is so close constantly. Connor gets in front of Lordy. Looks like it's quite a clean move there, maybe outbraking him, potentially, I reckon. Is my calculated guess. But again, Cameron, running onto the grass a little bit, not getting the perfect exit, so he could be a little bit too far away to make this move on Edward. But again, hang on, wait, no, he's got close enough. He's going to pull to the outside. Edward's trying to stick on the inside, not giving him the perfect line. He goes out a little bit wide. Cameron gets a slightly better exit, still all over his gearbox. Edward stays on the inside. Cameron round the outside again. We see people go side by side here before and crash. Almost just holding it. Somehow Edward is still sticking himself here, and he's kept the position still. Edward is not giving up without a fight. He wants this position on track as well. He's proving himself. He's proving his worth. Well and truly, Cameron cannot make a move, get past him. In fact, he's going to try and lunge up the inside again. A risky one. Locking up his brakes just a little bit. It was a big move from him. It was a really hard try, but doesn't quite come off for him. Now he's closer than he's ever been coming to this section. Yellow flag is 63, that's irrelevant now. as Cameron, he's closing, but not quite closing enough to be able to make a move. 2 laps to go, 1.5 in fact, and he's still so close, and these two still fighting neck and neck. Will this continue onto the final lap, or will Cameron be able to make a move now? He's so close to the slipstream, running up into Cops. Surely he's not going to try and make a move through here. I doubt it. No, he sits behind again, shifted down to 7th. Holding it a better exit. He's all over the back of him. He's going to try and hold around the outside into the first corner of the S section. Doesn't try it this time. Still behind. It looks like Edward's just this little bit quicker through the section, S section, which keeps him ahead onto this straight. Again, the DRS is open. The ERS is open. There's hardly any ERS between them. The slipstream towing Cameron into his next corner again, trying to find any move, but Edward with a fantastic defensive drive. Cameron cannot get past him, that's how hard he tries, except he's found the inside this time. Breaks late, doesn't make it happen for him. Again, staying behind is Cameron. Edward, he's going to lose the position on penalties, unless Cameron gets himself one in this final lap. But for the position on track, it's been a fantastic fight, and these two are not giving up. It's so competitive. The emotions, I'm sure, are running high. Heartbeats are high. There's Cameron's opportunity to the inside. Doesn't happen this time. This is where he always seems to be able to make up a little bit of time. A little bit of a wiggle in the rear. That's cost him. That's cost him a little bit, except now he's closer than he's ever been before. The slipstream. Edward pulls to the inside. He pulls to the outside. Cameron's on the inside. He's going to launch up the inside. Braking late. Still side by side. Here they go into left field. Edwards on the inside, it looks like he's in the best position this time. Cameron still holding it. What's the exit going to be like? Still running side by side, coming up into Cops. Coming down the main straight, neither of them got slipstream. Still side by side. Still. Mercedes on the inside. Rebel on the outside. Who's going to be able to make a better exit? It looks like it's going to be Cameron. Maybe no. Edward comes back. It's Cameron. Cameron gets up into P2. Edward hasn't given up just yet. Coming up to Backers and Beckett. Rebel is ahead. Almost touching each other. You can see the red light flashing, because the ERS is trying to be safe for this one final straight. Edward has got DRS. It's his final opportunity. He doesn't look like he's got a good exit though. Cameron weaving on the straight. Edward still trying to gain a little bit. His ERS is all but out. He's going to pull the outside. He pulls the inside. He switches. Cameron, he makes it. A defensive move. He stays ahead. Can Edward on the final corners be able to make one last ditch move? No, he cannot do it. Cameron stays ahead, gets the P2 on track. Edward has to concede for P3. Fantastic racing. Cameron Young finishes P2, Edward Hart in P3, but the race winner for Aston Martin is Brandon Glover. A fantastic race from him, capitalising on the mistake and winning by a total of 8 seconds in the end. Jared in P4. Unfortunate for him, as he could have maybe got on the podium today. Kevin setting the fastest lap on the softs. We got so caught up in the fighting that we completely missed his pit stop. Lordy in P6, Connors finishing P7, a decent race from him, only 2/10 behind Lordy in the end. Sondre Battlehaug himself coming home in P8. Hamrick, he's going to be the next one in P9 with a puncture, in fact, actually. Look at that. All the spinning has really done his tyres in. Kevin, despite finishing a lap down, gets fastest lap and an extra point. 2 points for him, unfortunately finishing in P10. But still, the Aston Martin team come out on top and extend their constructors' lead. And so does Brandon. Brandon gaining an extra 10 points on Edward, putting himself 11 points ahead in the championship. We saw Edward's teammate fight Brandon last season for the title. Alfieri won, Brandon lost. What's it going to mean for this season? Can Edward, his good friend, take it off him? If we're only 4 races in, so time can only tell, but Brandon is looking good and strong at the beginning. But Edward Hart still keeping his consistent run of podiums going. Let's not forget it's also 100% for Brandon as he raises that trophy above his head. Happy he will be. Fantastic racing from everybody today. A few incidents, lots of spins, that's to be expected. Only 4 drivers not getting a penalty today. I mean, Kevin did get 10 seconds in the end, but it doesn't really count. It was a bit of a harsh one, but Brandon takes the race win today for Aston Martin from P7 on the grid. A fantastic drive from him. Cameron Young, unfortunate not to win today. He was the quickest driver, of course, but that one spin, one mistake put him down into P2. Edward Hart finishes P3, keeping his 100% podiums alive. Jared in P4, a solid finish from him. Still doing well. He is consistent and he's good on this game. It's fantastic to see from Jared. Great for the Sheffield lad. And there you got Paco Suarez in P5, a good race for him, staying clean today, and that's what can happen when he stays clean. He gets a top 5 finish. Lordy in P6, solid from him. Connor, well done in P7. Sondre spinning a lot, still finishing P8. Hamrick with a puncture in the end, and plenty of spins at P9. Kevin with the fastest lap, it down in P10 for Aston Martin, still securing a couple of extra points to put them ahead of Mercedes. Luke the final finisher in P11, and then we had Nino Romanello in 12 and Russ Denham in P13, both retiring. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching here, IRL round 4 in Britain. It's been a pleasure to watch, and it's been a fantastic race by all. We will be seeing you next week, same time, in Spain, a home race for our Paco Suarez, and I'm trying to see if there's any other drivers. Doesn't seem like it, so yeah. Next week, home race for Paco, Spain. Hopefully it'll be just as exciting. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all next week. Have a great day.